Welcome in, WinDailySports.com. It is the preview for tonight's showdown game between the Jaguars and Bengals, and it's all sponsored by the Sharp app. Go to sharp.app, and you can check out any of your app stores as well. Also, be sure to subscribe Win Daily Sports for gold membership, totals, tools, projection models, cheat sheets. We have it all for you. Our DFS experts use these tools to help them win in DFS on Sundays, and for showdowns, use the tools as well. Sign up for a gold membership right in the description below. The promo code double up, buy one, get one. So $49.99 for a month, and you get 1 month free if you use the promo code double up, which link is in the description below. My name is Jon Jansen. Follow me at JJansen34, and joined by Stoweby today at STOWEBY, as you can see there on the screen. And Stoweby, we have sort of an interesting game. How interested are you in this one in a showdown perspective? Because it's sort of two bad teams in what people would consider a garbage game, but there's a potential here for some scoring.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I'm looking at. I'm not thrilled about either of these teams. They've both been pretty bad for most of the season, but there's a lot of offensive pieces that are really interesting in this matchup. I mean, the Jaguars have put up next to nothing in terms of points, but they look like they are beginning to turn a corner, and lo and behold, they start using the running game like they're supposed to, and it begins to make the team better, like we've been trying to say since it started. Imagine that.
And the thing is, we've seen some nice flashes from Trevor Lawrence as well throughout the first 3 weeks. So I feel like we've been starting to see the signs of number one overall pick and the signs of a quarterback that we think is going to be great. It's just that this offense is sort of still finding itself. Like when you look back and watch these plays develop, like there's a lot of mishaps, not from Lawrence, but from everybody else, because it's still a new offense that this entire team is learning. But I think what you said, everybody's kind of coming along here with the Jaguars, and it's starting to get a little bit better each week. Now, is this one going to be the week that it all comes together and they put up a ton of points? I know there are some, our guy Joel, who you can hear college football, Superflex previews all the time, Friday nights at 8. Great show. So tomorrow night at 8, make sure to tune in for Joel for that. He has been cashing a ton in college football DFS. But, he is one that's saying, Jags outright could end up being the play here. And the Jags are plus 7.5. But looking at it in terms of DFS, and we'll bring up the board here because there are a few interesting ways to go with this. Now, the first one, there is probably not going to be a very popular or must-play captain tonight. It's probably going to be spread out from a lot of the guys at the top. Probably Joe Burrow, probably Joe Mixon, probably Jamar Chase, maybe a little bit of Trevor Lawrence. So this is going to be spread out. How do you kind of approach that when we know there's not one kind of real chalky play here, at least in terms of the captain?
Make a bunch of smaller entry lineups and stick one of them in a captain in each one of them, because it's going to be spread out. You don't know which one is going to hit. And you could probably go off the beaten path, and because it doesn't really seem like guys like, Laviska, Shenault, and DJ Chark will be heavily used in those captain spots. I think everybody's just going to, stick to Marvin Jones and Jamar Chase and guys like Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon, Trevor Lawrence. So a lot of those guys that have kind of underperformed over the first few weeks, they are likely going to be in really good spots as far as your captain selections go.
Yeah, and look, I think this one and our guy for the Thursday night showdown articles, Antonio, my man Antonio, does a great job and has some good do's and don'ts. So check that out, WinDailySports.com. Sign up for a gold membership. Again, promo code double up in the description below. But a little bit of do's and don'ts, like he makes a good point of kind of narrowing the player pool. So keep it to Joe Burrow, Joe Mixon. I would even say Trevor Lawrence as well, but also Jamar Chase. Like, keep it close to there because, outside of that, I think with Jacksonville too, we sort of just don't know who's going to be the top guy. Is it James Robinson going to have a big day? Is it going to be Marvin Jones or Laviska Shenault? I think the one thing that we do have, though, and why I'm going to go with him too, we do know Jamar Chase has been the guy in Cincinnati,
Yes.
which I figured he would take over because he's more versatile than T. Higgins. He's
Oh.
not just a big, tall receiver. He can do everything.
I'm going to go ahead and own that. I thought it was going to take him a little longer to take off than it did. Remember, because I remember we talked about it, and he said he was having trouble seeing the NFL ball. It did not take him long to figure that out. It took him like apparently 4 or 5 days, and he
he figured that out. Right. He has looked phenomenal. So the one thing about Jacksonville too is their defense is bad. So you can go a number of ways here and think, okay, well, Joe Burrow, maybe 3 or 4 touchdowns. Maybe Joe Mixon has a big day. He can get 100 yards. And yeah, probably all that's true. And Joe Mixon's going up against a bad rush defense, as you can see there, against the rank that he's going up against, that, Joe Mixon has an opportunity here. Why I'm going Jamar Chase is Jacksonville has given up a ton of big plays and multiple times a game. This isn't just one or two. This isn't just one big play a game or 1 or 2 big plays in the last couple of games. In all 3 games, they have given up some sort of big play in the passing game. And most of the time, it's been twice with 2 different players. I'm not saying that I would love to do because T. Higgins is going to be out. I don't know if I would love to do a Tyler Boyd and Jamar Chase, like having them both in my lineup. I don't know how much I'm willing to do that. But what I am willing to do is take, because Jamar Chase is the only now deep downfield threat. Tyler Boyd is not. Tyler Boyd's nice, short intermediate routes, slot receiver. Jamar Chase is probably going to pop up for maybe 1 or 2 big plays in this game. I at least think he's going to get 1, but there's a possibility he can get 2 big plays. Both scores, I don't know. But, obviously receptions of about over 30, 40 yards. Absolutely, I see maybe multiple of those for Jamar Chase in this game. He's one that I'm probably going to look to get in my captain spot a little bit more because I know it's probably going to be Joe Burrow and I know it's probably going to be Joe Mixon, but I actually feel really safe with Jamar Chase in the captain spot for today.
Oh yeah, and it's with T out, then you're also looking at the potential for him to go over 100 yards on something like DraftKings and get the bonus points. And when you got that 1.5 multiplier, that sort of thing adds up. I mean, I think we could see a game where neither one of the quarterbacks go over 300 yards. It's very possible. It's Joe Mixon could, with that defense, if Vegas game script plays out and they are 7-point favorites. I mean, Knicks can get over 100 yards. So, but yeah, I think Chase is probably the safest guy to actually hit those bonus points.
Yes,
on the Cincinnati side of things. So I like that idea of he might catch 2 deep ones. 2 of 3 targets, but those 2 will be 50+ yard bombs, and they'll both be for touchdowns. And you should be able to get everybody at pretty reasonable ownership. I do agree that everything is going to be pretty spread out today.
Yeah, it will be. And I want to highlight this. If you're looking at this is Jamar Chase has long for each game for the first 3 weeks of the season. Now, I know it's going down. And you think, John, well, it's going down and he's not really big play. He's their big play guy. Look, 50, 42 yards, 34 long. He's their big play guy. And Jacksonville gives up a ton of big plays in the passing game. I think we're due for close to kind of what he did here against Minnesota in week 1. I have a feeling we're going to get a sort of a similar stat line for Jamar Chase, and he's going to hit the big 50-yard play. He's going to get a big touchdown, and he's probably going to get multiple of them as well. So Jamar Chase is my guy. So what else are we looking at with the captain spot? And is it just Jamar Chase? Obviously we're spreading it out a little bit, but how willing are you to maybe put Jamar Chase over a guy like maybe Mixon or Burrow? Or even, are we thinking about Trevor Lawrence here? I know that the numbers haven't looked good, and the one time he got garbage time numbers, he actually did pretty well in fantasy, but is it worth it kind of in this spot?
If Jacksonville can do something to stop, because Cincinnati's pass rush has been pretty good this year.
Yeah.
If they can kind of stall out that pass rush and block long enough to give him a chance to throw the ball and give him some time, I don't mind having him in a couple of showdown lineups. It makes a lot of sense. If they can block, his arm talent is still there. He can still run the ball. They do still have weapons. It's just they've looked like absolute doo-doo the first few weeks. And with a little bit of a balanced attack, with James Robinson finally being utilized and the way that he should have been used from the jump last week, it kind of gives me a little bit of hope that if they stay honest and they keep doing that and they give him 15 to 20 carries a game, the defense can't cheat up in the same way that it used to, and it's gonna create opportunities in that passing game, and it's gonna create opportunities in like drag routes and crossing routes where these athletic guys like, Chark and Chenault and Marvin Jones can get open and break off a couple of long ones. So, and I'm actually with Jimmy. He put it in the comments section. This does feel like a Bungles game, not a Bengals game. This feels like a
Right.
spot. They are 7-point favorites, and it seems like any time that you put expectations on the Bengals like that, they have a tendency to kind of collapse a little bit. So I kind of agree with the hype that this might be Jacksonville's game to win.
Look at this.
Yep.
The boss man.
Yeah.
You heard it here, ladies and gentlemen. Jason Mizrahi, the boss here, bet the Jags with the points. I'm actually going that way too. I'm not like, we'll get to the betting, but I'm going that way as well. So it has me thinking different. Like, I think Cincinnati's defense is certainly in play because Trevor Lawrence has thrown a bunch of picks early on. And again, some of it his fault, his responsibility, of course. Yep. But some of the responsibility is just this offense is sort of out of sorts a little bit, and they're trying to figure out Urban Meyer's offense, a lot of young players, a lot of new pieces as well in Jacksonville. And again, it's going to take a while. But like, this is one where we could see either garbage points from Trevor Lawrence in Jacksonville, or we just see them straight up actually do well for the first time, because I thought there were some things to build off of. I mean, how are we? Are we going to have some contingency lineups for that to happen? If Jacksonville's going to be close in this one, that means they do have some points. I imagine that means Trevor Lawrence. And, is it just Marvin Jones? I know maybe Laviska Shenault is somebody that we could try and get involved here as a little bit of a cheaper play than the 3 wide receivers of Marvin Jones, DJ Chark. But it seems to me that Marvin Jones just happens to be the guy in Jacksonville so far.
Yeah. Jones is clearly the guy. I don't mind. I think you're going to get really good ownership on somebody like Chark tonight, and his talent is still there. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just, it hasn't turned into stellar performances. He's had some decent, 3 for 49 and a touchdown. He's had a 17-point performance and a 13-point performance, but it hasn't been anything to like make people say, oh, I got to put this guy in my lineup. So I'll like him. If you're not going to run Jones out there, if you want to get a little bit different, run Chark instead of Jones, and then build the rest of your lineup the same way, because his body of work, I mean, his athletic ability still hasn't changed. It just hasn't turned into points yet. So that's going to come at some point in time. I still have faith, and I'm holding out on Chark.
Yeah, look, Chark is a good wide receiver, and I think Laviska Shenault is too. It's the amount of targets going Marvin Jones' way. Like, if you're going to do kind of the opposite, and you're going to go with, okay, they're going to be in this game, they're going to score points, they're maybe going to win this one outright, which Joel at Draftmaster Flex, one of the best, he's kind of predicting that. If you want to go that route, like, you have to get at least Trevor Lawrence and Marvin Jones in your lineups, and then however you want to divvy out kind of who else, sort of the other ancillary players. But if you're going to do that, it has to be Marvin Jones and Trevor Lawrence. It's not just you leave Marvin Jones out for DJ Chark and Laviska Shenault. It has to be Marvin Jones. He is the most involved receiver. Now, when you get to the conversation of maybe James Robinson as well, I'm not completely convinced, if you're going to do the, build sort of this mini Jaguar stack for Showdown, I'm not completely convinced that James Robinson has to be in it. And maybe that's just me. I know he had a good game against Arizona, but he's still not getting as many carries as you would like. And it seems like he's going to need a little bit more volume to get the kind of numbers that we need from somebody who's 9,400. So I would rather go, more with the passing game and maybe take a shot on DJ Chark or Laviska Shenault instead of Robinson.
Well, a guy that you can also go ahead and take a look at is Dan Arnold at 4,400. If you need a little bit of savings, he's getting 4 targets a game, and he hasn't gotten into the end zone yet, but that's partially because the Jaguars haven't been getting into the red zone.
Right.
So he's getting a good target share for the amount of snaps that offense has been seeing. So I wouldn't feel bad for 4,400 if you need a little bit of savings in a flex to kind of attack those safeties for the Bengals, and to kind of get in there in the red zone and maybe catch a touchdown, kind of like what we saw with Schultz the other night. It's a similar thing. Find those weak spots in the defense, and if they're going to be scoring points, I think we could see a Dan Arnold touchdown, and maybe instead of 4 targets, we might see 6 targets if they get a couple of extra drives out of it. So that's somebody that I could see putting in my lineups for the Jaguars, as opposed to just running the most expensive guys out there.
Right. And, I just going over the Jags receivers, are you interested in Laviska Shenault? Laviska Chenault's kind of the weird one for me because he's getting the targets. If you look at the target share, he only has 1 less target than DJ Chark, and he actually has 6 more catches than DJ Chark. It's just that he's doing it on 7 yards per reception, which obviously it's not really optimal. So what you're going to kind of need with him is likely that touchdown. Now, the 4 touchdowns that Trevor Lawrence has thrown, I'm pretty sure, he's thrown 5. Out of the 5 that he's thrown, 4 of them have gone to Jones and DJ Chark. The other one to Manhertz. So is there ever a chance here that Shenault sort of gets into the end zone here? Like, we do that, okay, he hasn't gotten in yet, but like this is the game that maybe it happens, or at least take the chance on it happening today. But that's what needs to happen in order for you to roster him, right? Because you're just not getting it on yards and receptions alone.
I don't like the volume. What I was expecting out of Shenault this year is to get a mixture of receiving game work and to get involved in the running game a little bit, and like the end arounds and stuff like that, and the jet sweeps. I was expecting to see more of that with his talent. It's perfect.
And he only has 2 carries so far.
Yeah, so if he's going to get into the end zone, it's likely going to be a first in or a goal to go situation, and they want to stretch the field out, and they get him on a jet sweep, or they get him on an end around, and they just run him straight to the corner. But that volume's just not there. I think, could it happen? Yes. But unless Urban Meyer starts using him in that Swiss Army knife style of way, like we were expecting ETN to be used, I don't have a ton of faith. But with that said, at 6,600, if you want to go there and bank on a touchdown, you're not going to be dealing with a lot of people having him rostered. I don't think he's going to be highly owned. I think it's the most of that ownership is going to be sticking up at the top, and then they're going to find dirt cheap value pieces elsewhere, which I'm not on board with today.
No, I'm not on board with that at all. And that's what our guy Antonio put as well. This is one that, look, if you use kind of every dollar, like you don't really have to for this one. You can leave some dollars out there. That is completely fine. But no, you don't really need to go either overspending or need to go all the way down here at sort of these guys as well. So you're tuned in to the Win Daily Sports preview for the showdown tonight between the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Cincinnati Bengals. Sign up, gold membership, Win Daily Sports. And a lot of what you can do for tonight's game as well, check out the totals tool, which is awesome. I absolutely love it. It looks at sort of the totals and projected points for each team in a little bit of a different way. So use that. We use that a lot here at Win Daily Sports. When you see green, it's an offense that you want to go after. Jacksonville is in the red for this week, but Cincinnati, if we want to take a look at that as well, you can do it with the totals tool, and you can sign up gold membership for that. Win Daily Sports. Promo code is in the description below. Use the promo code double up, buy one, get one free. So $49.99 for 1 month, get the next month free. Use the promo code double up when you sign up for a gold membership. And also, this live stream is all sponsored by the Sharp app. Go to sharp.app. And also be sure to check it out on any of the app stores that you have. My name is Jon Jansen. Follow me at jjansen34. Also joining me is Stoweby. And this one, Ivan, I would say yes, because even if Trevor Lawrence and Jacksonville do put up some points and they do end up playing pretty well, there have been so many turnovers that I just can't. There's no way I can predict, even with a good game, that Trevor Lawrence just doesn't throw a pick. There's probably going to be at least one interception. I guarantee there's probably going to be a fumble recovery as well. This is a sloppy game to begin with, and Trevor Lawrence has turned the ball over so much just because of this Jacksonville offense. Look, it's a lot of his problem too. I don't want to say that, Trevor Lawrence is basically free of any responsibility, but this is an offense that's working through things for sure.
We kind of got spoiled. I want to take a step back. we're used to seeing the last couple of years. We've been spoiled with rookie quarterbacks coming into the league and playing extremely well right out of the gate. That has not been the norm for my entire life. It is a very rare occasion. Because, I mean, even Peyton Manning had, 20 interceptions in his rookie season or something like that?
Yeah.
And, he was one of the best quarterbacks of all time. It's not the norm. We don't see guys like Herbert coming out and throwing for, between 4,000 and 5,000 yards like that. So, just don't freak out about him. He'll get better over the year. All that
yes, he will.
Still there. So yeah, just breathe. We'll be okay.
We'll be okay.
Yeah.
So good question here from Jimmy. Uzomah or Arnold?
My preference is Arnold, just based on the fact that I do think that the Jacksonville offense is going to work a little bit better than it has been the first few weeks. And I think he's going to get a better target share. And if they get in the red zone, I think they're going to be utilizing him a good bit.
Yeah, there's more. Look, Uzomah, it's basically you're hoping the 1 or 2 targets he get are just in the red zone and in the end zone, basically.
Yeah, if the Cincinnati team, because I'm expecting them to score a lot on big plays, if they get into the red zone and they decide to make a passing down situation, Auden Tate's the guy that I think they might try to, just because of his size. If we're talking about a dirt cheap punt, but he's going to be. Everybody just understand that you're not going to be getting different if you put Auden Tate in your lineup. There's going to be a lot of folks using him at 600.
With absolutely. Yep, absolutely going to be doing that. So that is a look at the showdown for today. If you have any questions, go to the Discord chat. One of the also perks of being a gold member here at Win Daily Sports. Go to the Discord chat. They're messing with lineups all day today to help you get the right lineup in for tonight's showdown. But want to go a little bit here now on the betting side of things. It looks like we're both on Jacksonville at the +7. This is a little bit too, not of just Jacksonville being bad and that number 7.5, but it's just Cincinnati I don't think is good enough to lay 7 points. Like it's just I don't think they're good enough to lay 7.5 points even at home. They beat up on a very injured and a not very good right now Pittsburgh team. I'm not going to take that into Jacksonville. Look, Jacksonville eventually is going to put it together. And I think it's going to look a little bit more like they actually have a sort of grip on the offense. And Trevor Lawrence is special. Like it's going to happen at some point. So I think 7.5, and this is probably the best time for it to happen here against Cincinnati.
Yep. Well, I mean, we're getting them at 7 on DraftKings Sportsbook.
Nice.
If you want, if you can get over, I don't know what you can get them for on Fanduel, but I do know.
Yeah, touchdown and a half. As long as it's not below 6.5, that's when it changes the most. When you get under that key number of 7, that's when it changes a lot. 7.5, yes, I would maybe just buy the 0.5 point just so I can try and get the push at least.
Get there. Now, you could do the same game parlay on FanDuel Sportsbook.
Yep.
And I like the idea of pairing the Jags +7 with the over, because if the Jags play better, it's likely going to be an up-tempo game, and that 46 is not going to.
It's not like the defense is going to stop anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that play as well, and I'd actually be looking at Joe Burrow's passing props on the over there as well, and maybe Trevor Lawrence too, because the last time that we saw an offense that put up big numbers on Jacksonville, at least early on, it was Houston, and Trevor Lawrence basically threw over 50 times and, had, I think, over 300 yards in that game. So I think we might see something a little bit similar, something to look at in your local sports book. But Stoweby, that is it for us, unless you have anything else for the people. And also, Jimmy Wagner, I'm sure we'll keep it quiet. Shh, we'll keep on.
Yeah. No, I was kind of looking.
Keep that quiet for you.
I was kind of looking. We'll talk in Discord about that.
Yeah, there you go.
Tease. Now, Dan Arnold over 13.5 looks pretty good.
Nice, like that as well. Because
4 targets a game. He should be able to get 13.5 if we're expecting this game to be close like it is.
Yeah, like that. I think that's a good call. That is it for us here, Win Daily Sports, previewing the showdown for tonight's game between Jacksonville and Cincinnati, all sponsored by the Sharp app. We're going to be back tomorrow. Jason Mizrahi and I, position by position preview, and we're going to be going live at noon right here at Win Daily Sports. Go into the Discord. If you have any more questions, you're building your lineups, sign up for a gold membership, description below. Double up You can buy one, get one free. Buy 1 month for $49.99, get the next month free. There's a ton of great tools. The totals tool is one of the best. I think that's one certainly you need to be checking out. Projection models great as well, especially when you're trying to figure out what the best players are, and some value players as well that you can check out, at least for Sunday slate. So plenty to check out over at WinDailySports.com. We'll be back tomorrow, noon Eastern, right here, WinDailySports.com.